Hi there fabric jugglers, it's Babs here from MyFieryPhoenix, and today I'm going to take you through how to weave in the ends of your knitting or crochet. For this you're going to need a large-eyed needle. Sometimes it's called a knitting needle, which is even more confusing, or a knitter's needle, but basically it's a needle with a really large eye that you're going to then use with your wool. So it's not a standard needle, but it's fairly simple to find, and it has a very blunt tip so that you're not actually going to be shredding the stitches that you've created in the process of your crochet or your knitting. You're going to need some scissors just to tidy up at the end, and of course we're going to need an item that we have indeed knitted or crocheted. Now in this instance I've been working on shawls a lot. If you've been looking at my Instagram feed you will have seen that. And so what I'm going to do now that I've finished this one is actually just weave in the end. Now some people get very confused by the description of weave in the ends, but honestly I promise you it's a very, very simple process. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the middle, where you've actually tied off using a large knot rather than a magic knot. And I'm also going to show you at some of the ends so that you've got multiple colours, great long lengths, all that kind of stuff, and we'll just see how to do each of the individual bits and pieces. We'll start off with one of the simplest, which everyone will have on every crochet pattern, or knitting pattern indeed. It's the first starting or end stitch. You will always have a start or end stitch no matter what else happens. So we thread the needle, and it should be incredibly easy because of the size of the eye. And what we're doing is quite simply weaving the yarn back through the stitches. And so we're taking it back through, and we're just trying to go in between the stitches so that it is not an obvious job. It's not an obvious, we're not looping around the edge, we're taking it slightly inside, we're not sewing along the outer edge. And then we pull that through. Being very careful not to take the edge in too tightly, so I always hold the edge with a nail or a needle or a pin if I'm using a pinning board, and just hold that tight so it still maintains the shape that we're looking for. If I pull it too tight it folds in and then just doesn't look pleasant at all, so make sure that you keep the shape that you actually want in the finished piece as you're weaving through. And then you can actually change direction completely and weave on through into the actual main body without too much difficulty, and again that will just disappear in the final piece, and then come back in the opposite direction and just pick up the odd stitch here and there so that we've got a little bit of closure, so that it's not really a knot but it's not easily going to fall out. And then we've got that. So that's now coming in 3 directions, which means that it is not going to fall apart anytime soon. And we'll just snip that away, being exceptionally careful not to cut the actual stitches in the body of your piece. And there, you can't see where that has gone, and it will take quite a bit of looking to find where you've woven that away. So that's how you finish the start or end piece. Now I've got a stitch here in the centre. So what we do is, again, I take both at one time. If I haven't actually used a magic connection, so I will show you how to do what I'm talking about, these magic knots or these hidden yarn joins. I'll show you those in a future tutorial. And again, what we're going to do is just stitch through odd stitches, is just take it through occasional stitches and make sure that we're holding that knot down. Again, we don't want to yank it so that it's really obvious. We want it to be back so that it's lying neatly. And if you find that the threads are actually falling quite short, what I then tend to do is move everything around and just slide the needle through first and then thread it afterwards, so that I'm not putting too much tension or pressure on the main fabric of whatever it is that I've knitted by trying to pull this through. And again, I pinch and hold so that I can then just pull that through quite securely and safely, knowing that it's going to stay nice and tight. without again dragging at the fabric of the make. Trim that away and then you've lost, and that's what this is all about, is losing the yarn, and you can't see from the front, which is very nice. So if we have two different colours where this join is coming in, I personally would not stitch them together and sew them through. I would take them individually and I would take them just on the side that has the colour in them already. So where we're doing the colour changeover, I would take the darker yarn, threadle it through, and it would loop through some of these darker stitches. And what I will do, once I've picked those up, which hopefully you're going to be able to see clearly on camera, so we've picked up the 4. Again, I'm going to hold it taut at this side so I won't lose my shaping. And then I'm going to come back in the other direction. But again, I'm not going to pick up the light colours. I am still going to be working with the darker colours as I come back. And then one last time just to secure it all, and I'll come down on an angle just so that it's got a little bit more security, and because of the pattern of these stitches, the angle hides the weaving quite nicely. So we'll snip that one away, and then the white one we will do the same process. Let me thread the needle, take it back through, again take it back through the light colour stitches, holding the edges so that that's not being pulled in, and I'm going to come back in the other direction, and then I'm going to finish by going up this angle here. Just take those 3 and then up the angle so that it is nicely hidden along that edge piece, and then trim that away. And again, each time I turn a corner, each time I change the direction of the yarn, I always hold that secure. And so that is how you weave in your ends. So hopefully, now that you've seen those three types of end weaving, it all makes a bit more sense. As I said, I will have some other knitting based tutorials coming up, how to tie off the 2 contrasting threads so that you have a very small knot that you don't need to then go through and weave the ends in, how to block a completed piece, because as you can see, whilst this is completed, once I've sewn the edges, sewn the ends in, woven those ends in, it will still need to be blocked. So I'll show you how to do that. And also I'm going to show you how to make a knitting bag. Whilst that might sound enormous, it's a very simple bag with which rolls round to hold your knitting needles, rather than one of the slide everything in various slots that can be used for all sorts of bits and pieces. But I prefer having a little bag because I've got all sorts of needles, and there's an aeroplane going overhead, and we've got pens and rulers and pins and all sorts of goodies in here. I have scissors, and I've got all sorts of my different types of needle in here for cabling and double-ended needles and so forth. So I prefer this style of knitting bag, and I will show you, I'll take you through how to create your own. So that's also a future tutorial coming up soon. Hopefully, if any of this has piqued your interest, you will, 1, give the video a lovely big thumbs up, and 2, like it, share it around with other people who might find it of interest. And if there is something coming up that you want to see, that you want to be involved with, then please subscribe. There's a link up in the corner, the blue logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe, or if you just click the big red button somewhere else on the page, you can subscribe as well. And then all my little tutorials will just drop straight into your YouTube feed. So hopefully you found something useful. Hopefully there's something coming up that you're interested in. If there's something you want to see that I haven't shown you yet, please drop a comment in the description below, and maybe I'll add that to the recording schedule. But for now, I'll see you later. Bye.